Good evening, and welcome to our commentary, full-length commentary, of the 1989 Tim Burton directed film Batman. Just Batman. Not Batman Begins, not Dark Knight this, Dark Knight that, Batman versus somebody, but just Batman.
And he's certainly not shackled to a protege.
What's interesting about this movie is it's Batman starring Jack Nicholson. Except he wasn't Batman, he was the Joker. And, yeah, so we're going to be watching that. We're watching it on the DVD. We tested this, and when we hit play movie, it starts immediately with the Warner Brothers, like the 1989 Warner Brothers logo right into the movie. So just make you aware of that for your syncing purposes. If you're watching on something where it might throw up some sort of piracy thing or FBI thing, be aware of that. But I think we're going to go ahead and get it started because I know this has a kind of a intro credit sequence to it too. So I think we'll just let that play and enjoy some Danny Elfman score. And we'll begin our discussion for Batman. So
I don't think those words have ever been said by anybody.
And here we go.
So it begins.
Here we are. The Warner Brothers logo's on.
Really hasn't changed much, surprisingly. It still has the same look, just a lot crisper, cleaner.
Yeah, crisper. Well, now they do that one with 3D movies where it like breaks apart and comes at you. Michael Keaton. Boy, everybody hated him. He was the Ben Affleck of 1989.
Yeah, he primarily before this was known to be a comedic actor. He was coming right off of Beetlejuice, so was Tim Burton at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, I think the big hit he had before that was Mr. Mom.
That would have been a pretty substantial hit. Yeah, whether that was the one right before, or the one before Beetlejuice, I don't know, because he would have had a few others in there too. But yeah, Mr. Mom was definitely a big, probably the biggest commercial success.
I think it's funny this movie continues the whole kind of what Superman did, based upon characters appearing in magazines published by DC Comics.
Yep. Batman created by Bob Kane,
who was actually alive and kicking when this movie came out.
Yeah, he got to see it, right?
He did. He was actually on set for a few scenes.
Danny Elfman.
And yeah.
Songs written and performed by Prince.
Oh,
that's
good.
where we're at right now, and getting
God.
that wonderful info, which is not very beneficial for this movie. Even at the time, it was kind of like people thought, eh.
Well, part of it was he was, I can't believe I'm saying this, one of the biggest acts in the world.
Oh, yeah, he was definitely big, but yikes. That was John Peters' call, not Tim Burton's, and
really hasn't aged well.
No. No, it wasn't. It didn't age well a year after this movie was out.
It's aged like an already old piece of cheese.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that this movie has, quote-unquote, aged as well as it has is, no thanks to the Prince soundtrack.
Pretty sure
by Tim Burton.
Pretty sure if Tim Burton could go back and do this, he'd most likely just cut out all of his music.
Yeah. Directed by Tim Burton, who at this time would have done Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice and Frankenweenie.
You gotta love the skyline of this Gotham City because it's just looks like a big, ugly city.
Yeah, he went very gothic, and, well, of course he wanted it to be dark, for obvious reasons. In fact, we're watching a brightened up version because my understanding is that this was even darker in theaters. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
This movie is so dark in theaters, people complain that when they released it, on these DVDs now, they brightened it up because it was so dark. So, yeah, just kind of interesting. And this would have been the first time on screen Batman would have been serious, dark, because when this came out here in 1989, the last taste of Batman you had in your mouth on screen, not the comic books, was Adam West's. And, well, of course, that was a lot different than this.
Yeah, the show gets a lot of crap, especially now. Seems like every time a Batman movie gets made, people just kind of talk about how horrible that show was. But honestly, as a kid, I liked it.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely a fun show. Fun, campy show. But
I mean, if you have kids...
But it's just like, when you think about it, it's like, that was what... I mean, people coming into this, that was their Batman. Was pow, punch, jab. That guy looks terrible. Walking down a back alley's never a good idea.
This shot here always got me. You see, obviously, what's supposed to be Batman, but it actually looks like it's animated.
I think it is. It always looked cartoony.
Especially the shadow.
Yeah. But, to Tim Burton's credit, whether it worked or not in other movies or even in this movie, he was willing to use any means necessary to make a shot work. Like he apparently just wanted that shot really bad and realized, they were just going to do that like that. He's got a terrible earring. That guy looks like he has like some disease in his mouth.
I'm pretty sure these guys are into recreational drugs. Just saying. They're not the best looking people out there.
No, they're like Beetlejuice unfinished makeup. Camels, the cigarettes of junkies. You'd think they'd be smoking something cheaper, like USA Gold. There's no bat, you idiot. Nice. Look at those ears. They're just like 10 feet long. It's crazy how pointy those were.
Yeah, it seems like every decade we get a Batman movie and they just make them smaller.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like now at the point we're at when you see the Ben Affleck ones, they're just coming off the cranium. They're not very tall at all. Ah, the gadgets.
Which, in this scene, you see it, and it looks a lot different than the one that he threw. Just one of those little continuity errors.
Yeah. I'm just going to hurt you real bad. Ooh, there it is. You set the tone for the movie right there.
Yeah, you never actually see it. Any of the prequels, or I'm sorry, wow, did I just call these prequels? Any of the Tim Burton movies, and they kind of did it a little bit in Schumacher's movies, but you never actually see him glide like he did in the comics, the cartoon shows. And that threw me off because obviously he jumps off the building, and as a kid I was like, where'd he go?
Yeah, they just didn't want to put the expense into doing the glide effects, I guess.
Did he just jump down into his Batmobile and drive off in 2 seconds flat?
He threw out a little gadget that made like a padded balloon that he landed on. You old space pirate. Now he's a DA.
It's Billy D.
With like a mini mullet. Like a combed back mini mullet. Playing Harvey Dent, which was played by Aaron Eckhart in the newer movies.
Surprisingly, a lot of people forget that Harvey Dent was actually in this movie.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, Billy D. Williams actually did sign on to do 3 Batman movies.
He did. He signed on expecting to play Two-Face, which, well, as we know now, didn't happen. Jack Nicholson.
He's always dressed so nicely in this movie. You just can't help but envy him.
Even in his purple?
Exactly.
He's got his little babe on his side here. I think part of, Dakota and I were discussing how Jack Nicholson has always looked old, and I think part of it is just because he always had that receding hairline, just caused him to kind of...
Yeah, even in Chinatown, he didn't. He looked like he was about mid to
like
late
this
30s.
age right here.
Yeah,
And that was quite a few years before this, but
I suppose that's one way to remain timeless. You just look like a middle-aged older guy.
yeah. And then this movie's released on they coincided with Batman's 50th, right?
Yeah.
So they had that playing to their, to their marketing. It would definitely help with marketing, where you could hype it up as like the 50th anniversary of Batman and come see the big screen adaptation.
It's funny. It seems like sometimes when they have these anniversaries, not too long ago we had the Superman 75th anniversary, which Man of Steel came out around that time.
Right.
It seems like these movies just kind of fall into place at these times.
Yeah. There's not Harvey Bullock. What do they call him in this? Because he's basically Harvey Bullock, but they call him something different.
Oh, what is it? Hickok or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Definitely looks straight out of a comic strip with that cigar.
No kidding, and he sounds like he ate a frog.
One thing I always thought was cool about the cops in this movie is they wear just all leather uniforms.
This town has a lot of money to spend on things like that. Like, pure leather.
This may be an ugly town, but these guys all dress pretty sharply.
Oh. Is this Arliss Howard? Is that his name?
Robert Wool?
Is that his name in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got famous. Robert Wool was famous for playing the character Arliss in the HBO TV show.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. That's right.
Yeah.
He was in a show called Arliss.
Which was one of those things you either loved it or hated it.
That's quite the hat. It's all flat brim. Dirty cops.
That's how you know he's the bad guy. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
In case the black coat threw you off.
Yeah.
That's one expensive sandwich, by the way. It looked like there was about $300 bills in there.
Yeah. No matter what version of Gotham City we're in, though, it's always got dirty cops. That's just kind of how the place rolls. Look at that old revolver.
This movie was kind of confusing in that it almost felt like it took place in the 30s.
Well, it's kind of something. That's kind of what they do with Batman a little bit, and they did with the animated show after this too. They tried to make it feel timeless. Like right now in this shot, you saw station wagons going by that were definitely 80s, but they tried to give it a timeless feel in a lot of other ways. The animated series even more so, because all the vehicles looked like they could have been from the 50s or something.
Oh, yeah, then all the bad guys were sporting Tommy guns in that show.
Yeah, and yet Bruce Wayne had a supercomputer.
Yeah. Oh, and a jet.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Billy D. Williams because it seemed like he was in this movie hoping his character would be built upon, and he kind of got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, one thing, it's kind of hard to watch this movie and just watch the Commissioner Gordon in here because we're not used to seeing him this way. This is kind of how he was back in the day, where he was just kind of like an older cop, kind of more like, sure, he was honest, but not out there in the trenches trying to keep the city safe.
Yeah. Kim Basinger.
Wearing her hipster glasses.
Well, that's what they are now. Back then, she was just wearing of the time cool big lady glasses. She's trying to look like smart. We're not supposed to know she's beautiful yet, even though it's pretty obvious. I like bats.
They mentioned in this movie that she was involved in a civil war on the island of Corto Maltese. That is actually a reference to the Dark Knight story. I'm sorry, the Dark Knight Returns story. That's the island that America and Russia are kind of fighting over, where Superman shows up and kills all the Russians.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
There's very subtle nods to kind of other Batman stories in this.
Well, I know, like, the way Michael Keaton prepared for this role was reading Dark Knight Returns and studying bats. Jack Palance. There's some purple.
He definitely looks out of place in that suit.
He's always supposed to seem a little out of place because he's kind of like the cool cat. In fact, didn't Top Cat, that Hanna-Barbera cartoon, didn't he wear a purple suit?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. Nice. There, see, now we know she's beautiful because we didn't know in the last shot. Last scene. Oh, no, that's not Kim Basinger. Never mind. I forgot that's Jack's woman.
That's all, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. That's all.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people were looked at for the role of the Joker. You know, before him, like, well, what was the most famous one? Robin Williams.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
And, like, he was kind of hurt by how they teased him with it because they really just used him to get Jack Nicholson. But the first choice was Willem Dafoe, which we now know is Green Goblin. But he had, they thought the same thing you think of when you see him as a Green Goblin. He just has a creepy face, But we all know Jack Nicholson can make creepy faces without makeup, too, because he proved it in The Shining.
He seems so slimy in this movie.
Who's that?
Jack Palance.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie where he was such a scumbag.
What about City Slickers?
He wasn't a scumbag in there.
Just kidding. What was he in City Slickers? Curly?
Yeah. The wizened old.
Well, apparently
cowboy.
he got mad at Burton because Burton tried to give him like a direction and then he did it wrong and Burton cut the scene. And Burton found out later, and then Palance got mad about it. Well, Burton found out later that Palance was hard of hearing and didn't hear Burton give him the directions. And there's Alfred. Look at his huge eyebrows. Yeah. Oh, man. I want eyebrows like that when I'm old, where they just like whip up and like kind of touch my hair on my head, maybe. Would she have been married to Alec Baldwin at this point, or was that like more later in the 90s?
I think that was later in the 90s. Didn't they star in a movie together? And then after that, they kind of...
Oh, yeah.
The joke's on her because we know that's Bruce Wayne.
It is funny to look at him and think that he's the Batman in this movie because he does look just small. He's just a small looking guy. And it's just funny, to think that, because now, with Superman movies, they rely so much on the actor like bulking up and just getting like shredded, for a movie. Whereas Michael Keaton just looks like Michael Keaton, you know?
He actually did train in. Oh God, was it kickboxing?
Well, I don't
for this
doubt that he
movie?
trained, but I mean, he didn't. You know, like Hemsworth got jacked for Thor, and like even Robert Downey Jr. worked out and he like got physically more muscular and things like that, and you just don't notice it so much on. Is that Commissioner Gordon like gambling like a crazy man?
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard to picture Gary Oldman doing that.
Kind of back to the whole playing a superhero thing. Michael Keaton talked about it a lot, when he did Birdman, which came out not too long ago. But he mentioned how his main concern was just acting, trying to pull it off. It wasn't it wasn't his physical. He said it's much easier now because all you got to do is get in shape. Whereas this is 80s where, we're not used to seeing people running around wearing costumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes I wish even nowadays there was more of a focus on that, because it does feel like there's so much focus on physicality that maybe sometimes the acting does suffer, Because, I mean, if you look, Robert Wool right here has basically the same build as Batman in this movie, in a way, but Michael Keaton still pulls it off. You still believe him for who he is. The Wicker people. Because they bought it in Japan. They didn't know he was Bruce Wayne.
You think...
Not very good journalists.
Yeah, you think Knox, actually living in Gotham, would know about the richest man in the city.
Wasn't what Burton trying to do with this movie, which is what Burton basically does with all his movies, is try to make his main character kind of almost like an outsider outcast, where Wayne in this is kind of a recluse that keeps to himself, more so than trying to give off the playboy vibe that they do now.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I know Burton, that's very much a theme he likes to look into, because because he's an outcast in a lot of ways and was as a kid, where like Edward Scissorhands and Ed Wood even was kind of when he did that movie and stuff, that he does a lot of like kind of outcast type people movies. I make money. That's what billionaires usually say, isn't it? Now, he played Alfred in all four of those, like, this is the sequel to this, obviously, but then when Clooney and Kilmer, where he was still Alfred, right?
Pretty much everyone came back except for, obviously, the Batman and Two-Face.
Yeah. That's right, because it was still, yeah. That tubes coming out suit is just interesting. Do you know anything about that suit? Do you know any Easter eggs on that, Dakota? Does that mean something?
I think honestly, Tim Burton just kind of had his art department throw a bunch of random stuff together.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like a reference, like that's a portable Lazarus pit.
Looks like, honestly, a pretty vicious flamethrower attached to his back.
Something.
Maybe a prototype to a weapon he decided was too unstable.
This is the other thing I always thought was interesting, like that he puts on glasses to like look at the screens. You just think of Batman as like so perfect, in a sense, it's like he needs glasses. those old police cars.
Axis Chemicals.
Jack Napier, which was his name in The Killing Joke, right? That was the Joker's name.
Yeah.
They kind of used that name, which I think Burton was a big fan of The Killing Joke, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, he was.
Like, he hadn't really read any Batman comics, but I think, like, The Killing Joke was the one he even, like, had gravitated toward.
Yeah.
Burton's claim was that he would have read more comics, but his dyslexia made it hard. And that's why he liked Killing Joke. That was what I had heard him say one time, because it relied a lot on visual.
Yeah, it's actually a very short story, too. That's what a lot of people forget, you know. So there are stories out there that are hundreds of pages long, comics that are 100 pages long. That one, I think, was just a single-issue story.
Well, yeah, it couldn't have. I mean,
So-
it couldn't have been much more than 70 pages, I can't imagine.
And, yeah, so you can't really... they're talking about doing an animated film. They're actually going to have to stuff some stuff in there to actually make it a little longer.
Well, you know, it's hard to say because if you figure, you know, they kind of sequence out in motion each of those frames, it'll stretch it a little bit too. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see in a film that Jack Napier backstory play out. You know, where they put the red hood on him and he can't see, and that's where the original Red Hood name came from. Was that comic that they reused later?
Yeah, the Batman animated show kind of almost made it seem like it was a direct follow-up to this, except obviously the Joker lived at the end. Because in Mask of the Phantasm...
That's a good film, or straight to video, whatever you want to call it, that you should find if you can.
Yeah, in that the Joker pre-accident that turned him into the Joker was a mob enforcer, and he even dressed a lot like...
Ooh! Basically cut that guy's neck.
And he did dress a lot like the Jack Napier in this one, where the black trench coat, the black hat. Here's a fun little tidbit for you. Michael Keaton couldn't actually turn his head in this costume.
Oh, this costume was terrible. He couldn't do anything in it. And the funny thing is it was really tight and constricting on him, and he battles claustrophobia. And so he said it helped him get into character more because he was, you know, it caused him to be kind of unsettled and more kind of intense and serious because of the fact that he was battling claustrophobia wearing that suit. Yeah, it was just terrible. But it was all about the look. Well, George Clooney even made it sound like in his suit, which would have been 3 more movies after this, that like they basically had to turn him on a cart with wheels because he could barely move, and in certain suits they had him wear. It's like, jeez. That was one thing they worked really hard in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, is that, you know, Christian Bale could actually move. Like, could actually do movements and things like that. There was gliding, Dakota. It's kind of, well, it's more like falling with style, as Buzz Lightyear would say.
He was more like swinging, okay?
This guy looks like Joe Chill. Or he looks like he could have been a terrorist in Die Hard because he's got like the long blonde hair.
Problem is he didn't have that crappy European accent where you can't figure out what country he's from.
Yeah. Nice outfit. But yeah, they use the name Jack Napier, but the whole backstory is different. Because Jack Napier in the comic is like, what, a failed comedian
Yeah.
who, to make money, does a job for the mob that goes terribly south.
Oh, his name's Eckhart.
Oh, okay. which is funny since and Eckhart played a Batman character in a later movie. Oh, forgot how that's how it started with him getting kind of ricocheted there.
Oh, lordy, look at his face.
I guess they had to cut his face so that the acid could get in more and stuff. And oh,
There's been a lot of debate as if he let him go or he just...
I've heard that too because even the face Keaton makes there, it's like, is it I don't care till if I let him go or and so it's kind of hard to tell. Well, especially if you try to think of it in terms of he's Batman. You know, Batman doesn't drop people. But yeah, it's just hard to know.
I think that's funny. In the comics, it was called Aces Chemicals. In this, for some reason, they changed it to Axis.
Ooh.
And the creepy hand coming out of the water.
Yeah. Kind of always creeped me out as a kid.
Now
I think because I was always like anticipating if the rest of him was going to be shown right there. But now she's nerdy again.
What a horrible reporter. He should have been recording that whole call.
Yeah. A flight pattern. Yeah, apparently that sketch in that earlier newspaper scene, they show that sketch of a bat wearing the pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
Apparently Bob Kane drew that for the movie. Just funny.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't show up in this movie at some point.
Did she come in like a Chevette? Like a Chevette or something?
Yeah, she drives a crappy car in this movie.
Oh, this part's awesome. Where you realize he has like this ridiculously long table. He just acts like this is totally normal. It's a very welcoming room. I love this. Yeah, I love how he says that. I don't even know if I've ever been in this room. It's like you imagine having a house so big, you're like, you've lived in this house your whole life, and you're like, have I ever been in this room? It's like the room is bigger than some people's houses. Eating in the servants' quarters.
Which is most likely where he has his meal every night.
Yeah, right. You know he's eating in the Bat Cave, staring at his computer screens. It's Batman. He's obsessed about his work. Yeah, look at that. Look at that sweet tie Bruce is wearing there. It's pretty nice. He claims, though, that his comedic background helped him with Batman because, comedians are naturally better at kind of building a scene and leading, having it lead to something because they're always going for a punchline.
Yeah.
And so he said that always helped him kind of build some of the scenes and how to play it. Would she have been like a pretty big actress at this point, Kim Basinger? I'm trying to remember when she got her start.
I think it was sometime in the 80s, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and this would have been 89. So I was just trying to remember when she would have had her really big "You Are Now a Hollywood Movie Star" break. you know.
That might have been later in the early 90s, though. One of her first big kind of roles that got her noticed by people was oddly enough in a music video.
Yes.
She was the girl in Tom Petty's
Last Dance with Mary Jane, right?
Yeah.
She was the dead body.
Ooh, this scene always creeped me out.
Yeah.
A dark alley with...
It's got like just some creepy doctor and some like... It reminds me of Minority Report when he's getting like his eyeballs replaced. He's got that doctor.
I'm going to kind of throw out some random movie trivia here. In this scene, the doctor kind of motions to his tools that he uses. Those are actually the same tools that the dentist uses in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Not the one Jack Nicholson was in, though, right?
No, the
the
remake,
comedy, the comedy
remake.
one.
Oddly enough, the remake, not the one he was in.
Here's the first glimpse into the iconic laugh.
Which, it looks like rust on those tools on his...
Yeah, just nasty.
But it's actually supposed to be blood.
Not good.
This film kind of borders on like being a horror film sometimes.
Well, that's Tim Burton's cup of tea. He always has a tendency to have his movies delve into gothic horror, because that's where Scissorhands, everybody calls it a sweet movie, but it goes into gothic horror at times.
Kind of like how Batman Returns had just a lot of innuendo in it.
Yeah.
Also slightly touched on horror in that one too.
Maybe even more so than this one, just because the Penguin was always so over the top creepy.
Then he had a just disturbing backstory.
Yeah. And he bit Christopher Walken's nose off. Or not off, but like just bit it. You can just barely make out that there's something with his face there.
One thing this movie does kind of badly is show like the change of time. It's actually supposed to have been a few days since the accident at the chemical plant.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that.
Seems like it just happened.
Yeah. How long did his makeup take? I heard like 3 hours or something like that to get on every day.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
And he just would go to sleep while they did it. That's when you know you've been an actor a while. This music here. This scene right here, I mean, minus the fact they really don't have the Joker in the animated series where they kill anyone straight out. This scene reminds me a lot of the animated series with just the ridiculous circus music, and he's just doing something totally sinister at the same time, you know? What a day. Good old Hollywood. Barely know each other. First date. Let's sleep together. You wouldn't think Batman especially would do something like this. Just because, you know, like, what if he has to, like, go do something?
I guess this one's a little more careful with how he uses his time.
He's an 80s swinger.
And this part I never quite understood. He just pops himself in this machine so he can...
This was always confusing to me, too. Like, what? Like, he apparently has to hang upside down like a bat every once in a while.
Maybe he has back problems and it helps with his back.
Yeah, he's exercising. There are people that do upside down sit-ups, but I don't know if that's what he's doing. Ew.
I think one of the reasons why that makeup took so long is they tried to give him that permanent smile type look.
Yeah. He's just a wacko. Did you ever hear about Steven Spielberg's interest in doing a Batman movie?
No, I haven't.
He wanted Dennis Quaid to be...
What?
Yeah, Dennis Quaid would be Batman. Harrison Ford would have been the Joker.
Oh.
Gina Davis would have been the main girl. Dustin Hoffman as the Penguin. Burt Reynolds as Commissioner Gordon. Richard Dreyfuss as Rupert Thorne and Martin Sheen as Harvey Dent.
When did he dream this up?
Obviously, it was some point before this. I'm guessing just like in the early to mid 80s, he just had this dream that maybe he could do a Batman movie, and that was like his dream cast.
I don't think any of those actors really would have worked together.
I don't know. And then the guy he wanted to play Alfred is actually the father of the guy who plays Alfred on the Gotham TV show that's on now.
Really?
Like that Sean Pertwee, it was his dad is who Spielberg wanted. That stupid hat he's wearing. And then apparently, because we see him already wearing, he already had the ridiculous clothes, and now he's got the face to match.
The stereotypical gangsters.
And then Albert Einstein's there too, or Mark Twain. I'm not... Life's been good to me. This is the makeup that was the hardest. Where they had to have skin over the white on top of his skin, but he had to wipe it off. Oh, God, I forgot about this. Like the most ridiculous Joker joke.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of fallen out of favor when it comes to the Joker, him using these crazy, crazy gadgets to kill people.
Well, this one, like, almost doesn't make any sense. That's all I'm going to say. Like, somehow that hand thing fried that guy completely like that. Tommy guns. See, Dakota? Looks like Danny Trejo behind him.
Lover.
Yeah, see this makeup effect, because he had to have his fake skin over the white skin on his skin, and they had to figure out a way to make that work.
You know, love him or hate him, Jack Nicholson comes up with some... He has some pretty great lines in this movie.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever heard of the power of laughter?
Life's been good to me. Like, the way he delivers even that, it's just like, oh.
You know, that's one thing we don't really get a lot of. I mean, thanks to Birdman, we kind of had... we got Michael Keaton's thoughts, feelings on being in this movie. Everyone's heard, John Peters, Sam Hamm, Tim Burton's. You don't really get a lot of Jack Nicholson talking about what it was like.
Yeah. I mean, he said like little sound bites about that. He enjoyed it. And I think for a while, didn't he claim it was like his favorite role?
Yeah. Of course, then he kind of went back to, Chinatown. And it was like he got too serious thinking about his legacy.
Yeah. Well, and then he just got kind of classic, kind of older, getting older, people think I'm an awesome movie star attitude, too. Because when people ask him about Heath Ledger being the Joker, he's like, well, he's got a tough act to follow. You know, there's a lot of pressure on him and stuff. And it's like, you're talking about a role you did. You know, that's like kind of egotistical. But yeah, he's got to top me because I'm awesome. You know, that's basically what he's saying. Which, even if it's true, it just sounds bad when it comes from you. But Jack Nicholson has never been...
Humble?
Yes. Never been one to shy away from talking about how cool he is. I mean, come on. He wears his sunglasses all the time now and tries to look awesome.
Well, whatever works for him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like she's like a superhero too. Like when she's at the office, she has to wear glasses and stuff, and then when she's out, she's somebody else.
You know, I'm going to throw out another little tidbit here.
Okay.
For when this movie was playing overseas and in Italy, they actually got a pretty famous actor in Italy. He kind of became famous here in America and worldwide later on in life, but the actor's name was Giancarlo Giannini.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this story.
Yeah. I just thought that was pretty cool. His son, of course, voiced Christian Bale in the newer
Right,
Batmans,
yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool because he's actually a pretty solid actor. For those of you who don't know who he is, he showed up in Hannibal and Casino Royale along with Quantum of Solace.
Yep. But I heard that too, that then his son did the dubbing for Christian Bale. Apparently they just have Italian Batman voices. Oh, and here's where we get the look into his past. Well, he's wearing his 80s Ray-Bans.
Some very Beetlejuice-like music here. That's Danny Elfman for you.
This is one of his better scores, though, when it's not Prince. She's like, he left these here for me. This place is just pretty bleak looking. He just knows that I'm a legit guy. It's like he just looks like he's a seedy gangster.
And this just gets awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird part.
The crazy part is he actually agreed. Some of his gang members actually agreed to do this for him.
Well, it's either that or have him kill you, maybe, for not listening. Who knows?
And who would have thought so many gangsters in Gotham City had received mime training?
Yeah, because you gotta admit, they're pretty good for just, like, lowlifes.
Maybe there was a mime school in Gotham that was...
He put them through a 3-hour crash course on miming.
Apparently, he's just likes to plan things.
Guy's nice little tight lips.
See, this costume doesn't look so outrageous because I could see somebody at the Kentucky Derby wearing this.
Or tomorrow for Groundhog Day when they take the groundhog out.
See, that guy's throat is so thick, I don't think that would have killed him.
It's hard to say.
Unless it was tipped with some sort of poison.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Wow, that cop really over-exaggerated his death.
Did Bruce just get shot in the arm and not even react hardly?
Yeah, he didn't even let it phase him.
Where was Batman? Was Harvey Dent... forgot about that.
Yeah, his awesome little boxing glove.
Yeah, his extendo punch.
Somebody tell me what kind of world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press.
Wait for it.
This town needs an enema. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, gal. Look at how,
it's funny
coordinated
because
those
true.
books are.
That is a pretty impressive library.
And they're so, like color organized, it looks like.
You know, the way they do it in this movie, I'm surprised he didn't just say, I have a reason to live again.
Yeah.
Fire up the Bat computer.
Turbines to speed. Look at that phone with got the curve up to your mouth there.
Yeah. Back when phones were stylish.
Yeah, look at that, man. It's got a roto dial. Kids these days don't even know what that is, or they wouldn't even know how to use it. Be like, Siri, how do I use this?
Is there a YouTube video for how to use this phone?
And everybody's got smiles. He just totally embraces his craziness. Look at the crest there, how it's got the comic book Joker face.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Vicky Vale. If that isn't a made-up name, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's definitely a comic book name for you.
Yep.
Wasn't she supposed to be based on somebody from the comics? Or did they just make her up for this movie? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was always under the assumption she was just totally made up to have a woman interest type thing.
There was actually, when Bob Kane was writing the Batman comics, there was actually he created a character who was based off of Marilyn Monroe. And not a lot of people know this, but Bob Kane actually dated Marilyn Monroe.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize about him is he was kind of a player.
Yeah.
Bob Kane, and he was kind of a, he would have liked to have lived like Bruce Wayne, I think. Like the Bruce Wayne, like, playboy,
Yeah,
nightlife guy.
Some of these characters or people who create these characters kind of just give them their own little characteristics and kind of wish that's how they were. I know that's how that was with I can't even think of his name.
Ian Fleming?
Ian Fleming, yes.
Yeah, he was kind of a spy during World War II, and then he just kind of made the James Bond character everything he wished he could totally be. Look at the shoulder pads on that lady.
Oh, man, that's stylish.
Ugh. Is that Dan Quayle on the left?
I do think it's funny. We're watching this scene here with these two anchors, and later on in the movie we'll see more of that, but that's kind of what Frank Miller did in Dark Knight. He had, it was a lot of, the panels were just of people on a TV talking.
Yeah. That's true. It was like...
And then we get this craziness.
Again, this is something the animated series Joker would do. Like, he did do stuff like this, where he'd take over the TV and do a ridiculous... Not an actor. Ugh.
That's disturbing.
It's just disturbing, yeah.
Wow, that's
It's really creepy.
There was a magazine, a comics-based magazine, that once ran a poll, and the poll was, who was the better villain, Ian McKellen's Magneto or Jack Nicholson's Joker? And by a pretty decent margin, Magneto won. Looking at this now, I just have to say, why?
Well, I mean,
Ian McKellen's fine as Magneto, but he doesn't have the charisma, the chutzpah that Jack Nicholson has.
well, it depends on what element you're looking at, because Magneto did a lot of sinister things.
Not in the movies. He was kind of just a d-bag. Whereas Jack Nicholson,
he tried to kill a whole island of people in the first movie.
okay, if you're
Well,
walking,
he tried to turn them into mutants, but it would have killed them.
if you're walking down an alley and you run into Magneto, what's gonna be the first thing that pops into your head? Oh, hey, it's Magneto. Whereas if you run into the Joker, it's gonna be like, oh crap, I'm getting the crap out of here.
I get worried with Magneto because I have a lot of iron in my blood.
Oh. These anchors look like crap. The idea is supposed to be that they stop showering.
bowler hat. You know, when did they make Alfred's backstory that he was like a World War II, like, basically like a soldier agent guy who did a lot of special ops stuff?
That was kind of something they did. I think in the 90s when they wanted to get away from the Alfred, who was just the upper crust butler, English butler type person.
Yeah, because I can't remember what it was, but I had read like this one Batman comic, and it had Alfred's backstory throughout it, and it's basically like he was a spec ops type guy in the British military, and then his dad was the original Wayne Butler.
Yeah.
And then he came and took over for his dad.
That's something fairly recent, and then they kind of hinted at it in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
You talk about that story Michael Caine's Alfred tells about trying to stop that guy who just wanted to watch the world burn. That whole scene.
They never went into it, but the idea was that he was supposed to have been part of the SAS. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's like the Navy SEALs for the British. Apparently when the Joker went crazy, he just all of a sudden developed the handwriting of an 8-year-old.
I know, when it's like done with crayon. It's like he just wants anything to be crazier. Oh, well, the gas is purple. Is this where the Prince stuff starts kicking in?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
They walk in with this this big old beatbox.
Yeah. Yep. I knew it was coming here pretty quick. John Peters just had a couple bad ideas, and the other one didn't make it into the movie, but he wanted to have Batman's Batsuit be a Nike product.
Oh, good Lord.
Why? Oh.
Give him a shiner.
It's just like, why? Why this song?
He did the soundtrack, okay? I don't think they had any other options.
Good one. He's just like ridiculous.
Monet is rolling over in his grave right now.
You know, I gotta admit,
At least he
though,
was
Jack
in the
Nicholson
80s.
is pretty good at spinning that baton.
Yeah.
Hopefully these are fakes. I'm just kidding. Obviously. Look at those colors. He got like an orange shirt and a turquoise vest. Is that guy wearing a cleric? Oh no, he just has. I thought he was like dressed like a priest or something.
I remember one of the first times I saw this movie, I actually thought that was Jesse Ventura. Then he has that sweet lighter.
It's like just over the top. Jeez. So, is that hat supposed to look like a chef's hat?
I think so. Whoever did the costumes for the Joker just kind of threw a bunch of stuff
A
together.
lot of different berets that he wears.
I'm honestly surprised at some point we don't see him wearing a fez.
That would have been. My face on the $1 bill. Bob works hard. And what was the deal? What did he do to her?
The idea was that he used some chemicals on her.
Yeah, 'cause he's mad at her, right?
Yeah, that was the girl he was with.
Right.
Who
Oh,
was,
yeah.
who was also his boss's woman.
I'm no Picasso. Forgot. Yeah, that's right. He damaged her.
I think that's supposed to be the forerunner to Harley Quinn. Maybe that's where where Paul Dini got the idea after seeing this.
Yeah, like this idea that he keeps her around still, and
Yeah.
because that was always the question with Harley Quinn. It's like, why does he keep her around even when she does all the stupid stuff she does? Ugh.
That's something I'm a little disappointed we never see again, is acid spewing Posey.
Yeah, he does it one other time in this movie, I think, doesn't he?
I think that's it.
Oh, I thought he did it on the cathedral at the end.
Oh, yes, he does.
I saw the cable. Actually, I think we were supposed to see it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need Batmobile. We need... He like wants to know who makes his toys. I saw the purple car.
The Joker mobiles.
The Joker mobile, yeah. There it is. Yes.
The sweet Batmobile.
Man, that is so just over the top glorious. Just a hodgepodge of things.
Yeah, they pretty much, what is it? They just grabbed a bunch of random car parts and threw them together.
Yeah, like Ferrari taillights and what, Honda Civic headlights and or Honda Accord, I think.
Yeah, then that
A jet turbine on the back there.
yeah.
And then they molded the bat body, of course. It's so cool, though, the way it drives. Of course, then it's on like a, I don't know, some sort of... I like this sharp turn cable. I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
And then is that in the second one where he can hit a button and it narrows to go through like that narrow thing between the buildings?
Yeah, he loses most of the body, so it
Yeah,
almost...
that was a kind of cool idea, too.
Unfortunately, after that, you never see this sweet Batmobile again because the third one had that just heinous-looking one.
Yeah, and then the fourth one had that bug. It looked like a bug or something. Like an insect. Yeah, that was another thing they did really cool in this movie was create a really cool Batmobile because a lot of it had armors. Because a lot of people had fond memories of the Adam West one. No matter how campy that show was, a lot of people like that Batmobile. I think the Joker could have afforded a nicer car.
It's okay, because in these newer movies, he's certainly getting one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, in the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, his Lamborghini.
Yeah, it's like a really strange shade of purple Lamborghini.
With the sweet interior.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that some people kind of missed was the Joker having his own car. Like, I don't know what it would have been in Nolan's films, maybe like an old muscle car that was purple.
It would have been like, what would it have been?
Actually, it probably would have.
It probably would have been like a low-key looking car, and that would have been the joke. Like, it wouldn't have looked like anything out of the ordinary. Check his wallet. I like how they see this guy wearing this ridiculous outfit, and their first thought is to, like, find his wallet for an ID. It's like, does he look like he's carrying a wallet? Whoa! It's a leftover foot soldier from the Ninja Turtles movie.
I was wondering where did this guy come from? Because he just jumps over
That's what I'm saying. He was just down in the sewers fighting the turtles. Those are Leonardo's swords. I like how the way Batman fights in this is he barely moves. Because he can't. They just make it look like that it's cool that he barely moves.
Apparently, Bob thinks Batman's the Terminator, the Predator, because he throws his weapon down and runs away, like somehow he's free.
Yeah,
he's not gonna get me because I'm not armed.
Man, yeah. I don't know. I like the Tumblr and all that, but this is just so much more stylish.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing this movie kind of had. I mean, it's been talked about it recently that it's too stylish, but some parts of it are just too cool. Like the bat suit. I don't think I've seen a bat suit as cool as this one or the car.
Well, it's because in this one, I mean, it's like the symbol on it is just so blatant, just bright yellow. Whereas in the new ones, they like tone down any symbol on it, And in the new ones, they're always so worried about the car being like versatile in its uses. Whereas in this one, it was like just meant to be just a big sweet machine. And it's still versatile. I mean, it still has guns and turn cables. I like the animated series Batmobile, though, a little better than this one, though, I think. It just looked like it was like a block long. The animated series one just looked like it was so long. Just huge.
That was almost almost like a nod to like the old Max Fleischer cartoons.
Well, yeah, they tried to kind of blend that one. They, obviously this was what those guys said they wouldn't have had that show if it weren't for this movie. So, I mean, they pay a lot of homage to it, but they did try to fit in some of that old style stuff too. That was a nod to the 66 TV show. Going into the bush. Does a lot of things with this lady. Sleeps there on the first date. Takes her back to the Bat Cave already. That seems like a terrible idea. Didn't she say she loves bats? Hopefully you remember to put it in park. It's going to roll off the side.
Yeah, one thing that kind of, when you really think about it, this is like the most probably improbable bat cave that's ever been made because it would have taken so many workers to make all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's like the caviest bat cave where he's like different levels and... She's trying to see his face. God, I just can't get over those ears. They're like 8 inches long. Well, that's not true. I'm Batman. Because I'm Batman.
Hasn't it been in every single movie? I think even including Batman versus Superman. Hasn't it been the same person making these costumes? Because I know even in the Nolan movies, they were using the same person.
Well, I know it's always been kind of the same department of Warner Brothers, but yeah, maybe it is the same people. It's interesting.
Which is kind of bad because that implies that Batman kind of felt her up when he brought her home.
I know, like you realize what right there when she's grabbing herself, it's like, where did he have to go to get? Of course, she doesn't realize that, but he's already technically seen her naked.
That doesn't make it okay, Steven.
It doesn't, but yeah, it's interesting. You know, in that scene, he was disguising his voice by making it kind of lower, and he just looks like crap. Michael Keaton was the originator of Batman changing his voice when he's Batman so that he's not as recognizable, that we still have to this day.
Come on, we all know he stole that from Christopher Reeve.
What? Christopher Reeve barely changed his voice. He
Yeah,
just just did like a nerdy stutter when he was reporter Clark Kent.
Yeah, he had a more falsetto voice, whereas when he was Superman, it was more baritone.
Yeah, like those old Max Fleischer Superman. This looks like a job for Superman.
Yeah. Hey, it works, I suppose.
Superman's more ridiculous though. Like glasses. I don't know how that works.
It would make more sense though if, I don't know, Superman was actually bald and then he wore a wig as Clark Kent.
Yeah, a wig or something.
A blonde wig. There you go. Have him wear a blonde wig when he's Clark Kent. And when he's Superman, just have it be the black hair. Although everybody...
Like, when he's Superman, he has a mustache.
There you go.
Like a big handlebar mustache.
And he talks with some European accent. You can't make out what country he's from.
Wait, now he's just sounding like a Hans Gruber.
These are ideas, okay? I'm not saying...
Oh, man. That is a pretty cool place.
Apparently, reporters in this universe make a lot of money.
She has a nice braid in her hair. Dakota, have you ever said that to a lady?
No comment.
You're a real nice girl right now. Shut up.
Oh, the nice girl part. No, I've never had to say that.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
It is what it is, man.
It's what
Shut up.
Never called your mom a nice girl?
Oh, thought you meant like significant otherwise.
Well, that too.
I think I've had to say I love you, but you need to be quiet or else.
How do I put this? I'm Batman. Kind of like a Mr. Mom type thing.
He was getting ready to tell you, and you ruined it.
She blew it. He almost said it, and then she stopped him, and now the doorbell. He just mouths it. Oh boy, here's boombox, but it's playing Beautiful Dreamer.
Apparently, he has the easiest henchman job ever. Just carry the boombox.
Carries the boombox. He used to change the batteries and things like that.
Those things did take up a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
It was like, what was it, 16D battery? No.
Some of them took like 6 to 8 Ds, and then they suck the life out of them.
That's kind of sad. I think since they stopped making those big giant boom boxes, there's like no use for D batteries anymore.
Yeah, it's because you don't have kids yet. We still have to get Ds sometime. Uh-oh. Well, she's not like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's no quitter. His hair looks a lot more bright green than it did.
He's getting more into character. Like a lot of people have argued, this is almost more of a Joker story than it is a Batman story.
They almost get equal screen time. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Well, he was top billing, Nicholson.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is because he was also the bigger name, too.
In an unrelated note, Marlon Brando, didn't he get top billing for the Superman movie? And he's hardly in it.
He did, but he was Marlon Brando. Here's Michael Keaton's scene to kind of be a little more than Michael Keaton we all know.
He's too crazy to realize he's talking about him. Like, wait a minute, this story sounds familiar. Where have I heard this before?
Let's get nuts. Tiny gun.
This is completely unrelated to what's going on
What
right
did that
now.
even mean? Never rub another man's rhubarb?
You know what that means, Stephen. This is totally unrelated to what's going on right now, but I once watched a fight, and it was over. It was at a bar. This guy was, I guess, trying to hit on this other guy's woman. And after the fight was over, the guy looked at him and said that line. And all of a sudden, I was like, "This guy's cool.
He said that to him.
This guy's very cool. I like him."
Apparently, he was a big Batman fan, huh?
I guess.
Well, that's a creepy naked woman painting.
The real question is, where did he go?
He went out the window. Oh, yeah. Forgot we saw him get that. How? That still went through a little bit. That would have still stung.
The funny part is that bullet looks a lot bigger than that.
That little pistol
Yeah, that could have held dead roses.
in a mannequin's hand. Yeah,
What's he trying to say?
she's going to leave town, and I wouldn't blame her.
You know, most of this stuff would just scare most women away.
Yeah.
But she's such a trooper. She's just hanging out there.
And she's not even like a Lois Lane, or she's a photographer, but she's tenacious at getting pictures, I guess, just as a reporter wants to get the story. Yeah, and then what we're supposed to be catching there, too, is that what he heard the Joker say to him as he was going to shoot him. There's a significance.
Oddly enough, he only has one. That means he loses that one suit. No more Batman for a while. Whereas in Batman Returns, he has like 30 of them.
Well, in this one, we're supposed to kind of assume he's just starting out, too. That's why nobody really knew him at the get-go, and no one had seen the Batmobile yet.
I'm kind of surprised they never tried to have a Lucius Fox in this, because he was in the comics forever.
Yeah, that is surprising. They're worried about working in another... He just pushes over the...
I love how he does the swipe, yeah. Like, I don't know, like he's some narrator at the start
Yeah,
of
he
it.
can just push. He's like totally in control. I forgot how often he donned the skin color makeup. You know, they had Heath Ledger only do it once, like have skin tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'm not is a killer.
I think we're just supposed to assume that. I always thought it was odd that in the middle of the day we have cops sitting in a bar.
It's Gotham City, Dakota,
Well, they are fully in uniform.
playing cards and drinking beer. Just like, how bad can they look?
And he wipes them out.
Yeah.
You know, over the years we had a lot of big name actors playing Batman, but up until Ben Affleck, the tallest actor to ever play Batman was actually Adam West.
What was he, 6'2", 6'2"?
Yeah, he's 6'2", which is how tall Batman is supposed to be in the comics. I always thought that was odd.
Yeah. Yeah, because Christian Bale was, what, like 6'1"?
Yeah, he's 6'1". Val Kilmer and George Clooney are 6 foot and under. I think Michael Keaton's 5'7".
What?
Yeah, he's 5'7" or 5'8". He's not very tall.
I knew he wasn't very tall. I didn't realize he was that short. Yeah, that's pretty short.
Well, if you watch him in Birdman, holy cow, him and Emma Stone are almost eye to eye. Here's the scene that gets mocked a lot.
This scene?
No, I just kind of the scene where he was like deep in thought with his kind of fist curled up next to his mouth.
He's 5'9", Michael Keaton.
Oh, he's a little taller than I thought.
That's still pretty short, though, for what you think of as for Batman.
You know, I don't think they've ever talked about it in any of these Batman movies, but the reason Thomas Wayne took his son out to the theater in this crappy part of town was because they were showing one of his favorite Zorro movies, and he wanted his son to see it.
Well, it's because in Batman Begins they made it like a weird opera.
Yeah. Who takes their kid to weird opera like that, honestly? On a school night?
It's always the pearl necklace.
That actor right there that grabs the pearls, I always thought he looked a lot like what's his name? The guy who was Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. Oh, I've heard that phrase before.
That's supposed to be a young Jack Nicholson.
Still a very sharp dresser even in his youth. Sam Hamm, the guy that wrote the screenplay, that's one thing that bothered him. Apparently, Tim Burton added that into the movie without asking him first.
The flashback?
Yeah, where the person that kills his parents says that.
Another thing that's crazy was...
Yeah, Alfred pretty much just let this woman into the Batcave.
Yeah, he's kind of a D-bag, huh?
He just wants these two kids to get together, I guess. He just doesn't want Bruce to end up alone.
Even though she's nowhere to be seen in the second one.
Yeah.
Well, this was supposed to be Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie. Did you know that? But Michael Keaton was dating her at the time. And so he thought it'd be awkward.
What?
Yeah, he thought it'd be awkward to have her in the movie. Well, and then she ended up being, Catwoman in the second one. But
wow.
yeah, I didn't realize Keaton had dated Michelle Pfeiffer until I'd heard that.
It's crazy. There were so many changes to the script for this movie. Like, even before it was officially greenlit, there was a lot done. We were talking about this earlier, about how originally Bill Murray was approached to star in this movie.
Oh, God.
With Ivan Reitman to direct. And they were playing with the idea of having Robin. They were playing with the idea of having Robin in it off and on. And the idea was, if they were going to do a comedic take on it, to have Eddie Murphy as Robin.
Which is funny because then later, wasn't Marlon Wayans? They were thinking about having him be Robin at one point when they were, in these movies.
Yeah. You know,
I always thought that was cool.
for a guy who doesn't believe in killing, his car has a lot of sweet guns on it.
But it's for shooting doors open, Dakota. Duh.
I think it's also supposed to be another nod to The Dark Knight Returns because he drives that tank that has like an absurd amount of guns on it.
Yeah. I love how this thing just armors the way it does. That also seemed pretty violent too for a guy who has a code not to kill. Like, I'm gonna drop a bomb right in between this guy's legs.
I'm pretty sure all those guys are dead now, along with anyone who was in this building, or even like 20 feet from the building.
Yeah, well, with action movies, I like to look up and see what they do, like total body count. And this movie they estimated at 56 deaths, which is a lot for a Batman movie since he has a code not to kill.
Honestly, I think it has to be higher than that since they have that scene with the gas coming out of the...
Does that kill the people, though?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I think they also just count on screen, like ones you see on screen, too. And that wasn't Batman. But like right there, like how many did Batman probably kill? I love that cartoon Joker face. So cool how they used that.
Oh, good Lord. Some more Prince music.
Brace yourselves, people.
See, this one isn't so bad.
There's a... I don't know if it's a deleted scene or an unfilmed scene where you find out that all the money he throws to the people is counterfeit that has his face on it.
What?
Yeah. Like that they're not even real. That he just put, because he talks early in the movie about wanting his face on the dollar bill. And so that was supposed to be the payoff for that line, was that all this money he throws is fake and has his face on it. But that's really thin money. Look how easy it's blowing.
Yeah, money used to be made of completely different stuff back in the day, but like you said, it's most likely counterfeit.
Yeah. It's just they just don't outright say it, but look at it. He's just ridiculous. Gigantic nose on that clown balloon.
Surprised he doesn't have a marching band playing.
That would have been sweet. Just have like a drum line in front of him. No Prince music, just drum line.
Have them all wearing Joker masks. Yes. Why didn't that happen?
Oh, man, yeah.
With that guy who waves the baton? Yeah.
No, it would have been Joker. We saw his baton skills. Dude's got the skills.
With the big, crazy, fluffy hat that they wear.
Yeah. Big old... Yeah, that's where he could have fit in. When you're talking about him, surprised he didn't wear a fez. He could have wore like a big, tall, furry, like drum major hat. I'm surprised they haven't... Oh, there's the... What do they call it? Is it just called the Bat Plane? Or does it have a more specific name?
I think it's called the Bat Plane. I don't think I've ever heard it called anything else.
Yeah. And then in the new one, he has that flying, and they call it the Bat in The Dark Knight Rises.
The Batwing, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Washing his tights.
I think that's funny. In most superhero movies, they rarely wear tights. Although in the comic, that's all they wear.
Yeah. Because it doesn't come across very well on screen.
Unless you're Superman, I guess.
Like, remember the really bad Fantastic Four? I mean, there's been a lot of really bad Fantastic... But the really bad Roger Corman one, where they wore those, like, just straight, tight spandex.
Yeah.
This town needs an enema. Oh, boy. This reminds me of Pee Wee Herman or something. That clown balloon. It looks like something that would have been in that movie. Same director, I guess. It's funny that camera she's using would have been pretty sweet at the time, and now they have like these like 10-foot long lenses that those people use. Just ridiculous. I mean, they still would have had those then, but it's like just it seemed like all the. What did he just karate chop his trunk to open it?
He did.
That's gonna block the gas. His 3M mask.
In theory, it should.
I guess maybe for a little bit. What is Batman doing? Just flying around?
He's waiting for stuff to hit the fan.
It hit the fan years ago. It's interesting, all this Batplane stuff had to have been done with miniatures. So in this movie, we've seen miniatures, big set pieces, actually more or less made Batmobiles, what we're pretty sure was a cartoon Batman walking on the rooftop. They used about every kind of effect you could possibly use.
Except CGI.
Except CGI, yeah. That wasn't very commonplace yet. But, and then this didn't even win the Oscar for Best Effects either. But it did win an Oscar. This was the first Batman movie to win an Oscar. Of course, it's also the first Batman movie, really. But yeah, it won for art direction, set direction. Which you could say this movie did have a lot of interesting set pieces and stuff to it. So you could see why it would definitely be nominated for that and then win. This reminds me of like maybe more campy Batman because like he just happened to have like that scissor thing on the front of the Batplane to like take those away. Dakota, I think you could pull off a Joker outfit. Kind of with purple and turquoise checkered pants and
not one.
Maybe a flat billed purple hat.
Not one so extreme as this.
Maybe on Halloween, huh? Was that Bob?
Yeah, he just killed Bob.
Bob was his dude.
He let him down.
Next year we tell him he's going to shoot his boombox guy.
Not that guy who doesn't even have a name.
Yeah, not that guy.
Not Kenny.
The guy who I thought was Jesse Ventura. Oh, nice. That was a little too perfect.
Yeah, that was a cool shot, but at the same time, I was like, why did he do that?
That was just Tim Burton having fun.
And once again, he has this vehicle that's just souped up with weapons.
Just missiles and machine guns. Oh, God, that's awesome.
If anything, this is the type of stuff he needs when he's going up against Superman, just like an insane amount of ordnance.
And all the bullets are laced with kryptonite.
Yeah.
Oh, was this the hit me? Come on, hit me.
Yeah.
Except this Joker swears. Use the Force, Luke. He pulls out his little goggly.
Pretty sure he just killed all these people.
Whoa, yeah, he's killing. He's shooting missiles and machine guns at the Joker, everybody.
And missing completely.
Yeah, what did that goggle thing do? Because he totally missed. What? That couldn't have been comfortable. Batman kind of sucks in this movie. Like that super long pistol took down the bat plane.
Yeah, that was...
And he can't hit the broadside of a barn even though he's covered in machine guns and missiles.
Wow, that's actually a miniature, but it looks
Yeah.
pretty good.
You can tell by that one car that it was definitely miniatures.
Yeah.
It looked a little toy. It is interesting, though, to see how they did all these effects. You know, because now that would have just been like the whole thing would have been CGI digital.
Yeah, you know, there are actually people out there who want Tim Burton to come back and maybe direct the Batman Returns, or not Batman Returns, the Dark Knight Returns for the big screen. But I don't think he can do it the way it should be done. He'd use special effects probably way too much. Like he's kind of done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he used to do a lot of practical stuff, but did anybody see Alice in Wonderland? I mean, that movie's like all CGI practically.
Well, then there was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
He's apparently turned over a new leaf, though. That was the basis behind Big Eyes. He wanted to get away from the type of films he's been doing.
And now he's doing an Alice in Wonderland sequel, though.
Is he actually directing it?
Yeah.
I thought he gave up. That is a very unwieldy gun to use. I can't imagine.
It just seems pretty impractical.
If you were 2 feet away from him, that gun would be useless.
It pushes, it's retractable. That took down the bat plane? Oh, man. This is why I don't trust Tim Burton.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Can he shoot his thing? Taking the stairs.
It's too bad they don't use thought bubbles in movies, because that would have been a perfect time to have one that said, "It's a good thing I didn't skip leg day."
He picks it up and smells it all creepy like.
Then he says to himself, "That's my woman."
Good Lord, she needs a bath.
Now the police finally show up.
Batman tried to blow up the church. Look at all these missiles and bombs. Nice ascot.
It would look that way. And I'm surprised they didn't take more actions against him after this movie. Especially the U.S. government violating our airspace like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Looks like a bad place for Venom to be. Good thing this is a DC movie. See, here's the other... This is the other acid flower part I remembered where he shoots the bell with it. Jeez.
Missed it by that much.
He must not have his Grappling hook gun, huh?
No, I guess not.
Her other shoe. And another shoe. How many shoes is she wearing? We're trapped by a bell.
I love how he like tries to nudge it twice and then gives up. He's
Gary Oldman would not have given up. He's also wearing an ascot, though. That just makes him less of a man.
Good thing they had those spotlights handy, huh?
Yeah, well, Gotham is everything. The showdown in the cathedral.
The one we get another.
You gotta have another Foot Clan. I mean, sorry, not Foot Clan.
And then that device just pops out to hit that guy in the crotch, and it's like, why would you ever need something like that?
Who knows?
Oh, Batman always having the right utility at hand. Whether it's the crotch hitter,
The crotch.
shark repellent,
He prefers ball buster.
and then there was that,
Just
where he didn't even need to do anything.
didn't do nothing.
He told the floor, "I'm Batman," and the floor just gave way. You know who seems to be absent from this fight?
Who's that?
The boombox guy.
Yeah, they don't need a boombox.
There's music is coming from somewhere, though.
It's coming from Danny Elfman. He's hearing it in his head, the Joker.
The Joker and his bang.
Yeah. It's gonna get noisy. We don't see Batman bloody too often in the movies, do we?
No. We don't ever see him actually struggling against just a lone thug like this either.
Yeah, usually these are the guys he just takes out with like a couple punches and they don't even hardly touch him. Yeah, he's just a lot more. I don't know if he's just part of it is he's just supposed to be, young and new to it or what, but he does seem to have struggle a lot more than other Batmans. Whereas it seems like Joker doesn't struggle with anything. This is probably like that music video she did with Tom Petty.
I saw what you did there.
playing the old femme fatale card here. Like, I'll just play into maybe what he wants. Ooh. Well, he's not having much trouble with the Joker. Ah, the old trope of so many comic book movies where they end up making their villains. They become a superhero just to fight normal crime and then end up creating supervillains as mistakes.
The one time he tries to hit Batman.
Yeah, but didn't that other guy punch Batman and had trouble? Batman had trouble, I mean.
Yeah, that guy may have, I don't know, been on some serious roids or something.
Had some Joker gas. He wouldn't hit a guy with... He just has all this stuff on him.
There you go. Batman almost technically killed the Joker. Punched him over.
Punched him off the side. Didn't he look like he cared that he did? He just has all of these props on him.
Apparently he comes ready for anything too, I guess.
This isn't looking good. I suppose that's a miniature shot? Probably was, huh?
Yeah.
Guy just looks like a goober with his Joker hat. He forgot to curve the bill. If only Jack Nicholson would have actually retired. See? He did have a grappling hook. I knew he did. Apparently he was just saving it for an opportune moment.
Like to kill the Joker.
Yeah. He knew he was going to use it here. They're just like, come on, you idiot. Oh, boy. Now, here's the thing. Was Batman just trying to stop him here? Or kill him?
Both.
Nice shot there. A lot of times in the comics, even when... And there's another grappling. Ow. A lot of times in the comics, doesn't it seem like the Joker is dead, but then he ends up coming back?
Yeah. He seems to be quite adept at surviving. Well, even in the animated show, it was like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. He got put in prison a lot in the animated show in Arkham. Now, where's that cackling coming from here? Oh, yeah. See, some of this I didn't remember as well.
Ah, it's the Killing Joke.
It's weird because we're supposed to assume the Joker's just dead in this, though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that Burton knew they were going to do more movies and he killed off Batman's biggest villain in the first one.
I guess after this he was done killing.
Yeah, not even Nolan wanted to kill Joker.
Yeah, unfortunately the actor died, and then
Yeah,
he didn't want to recast him.
it'd been hard to recast when he became so iconic, I suppose.
So they just decided to reboot him,
Yeah,
and
in
now
the form of a meth head.
and now we got what we got
We'll see what we got, I guess.
in August. Yeah, August we'll find out.
I wonder if we'll get maybe a little bit of them, though, here in March.
Maybe. The now iconic Batman symbol, which oddly enough isn't the one he wears on his chest.
Yeah. Did you say that the one on his chest in this one is your favorite version of the symbol?
Yeah.
That kind of yellow.
Yeah, the black on yellow. He had a reason for having the symbol on his chest like that in the first place. It was supposed to help people aim for his chest as to avoid aiming for his head, which he had absolutely no protection.
Oh, sure. It's supposed to be like a decoy target to save his life.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever been brought up in any of the movies, though.
Well, nowadays they tone it down. It's not even much of a symbol. It's
Just the decal, really.
kind of a hidden hood ornament. Gotta have the iconic shot of him on top of the roof tops. Another shot that makes no sense, but he's go with it.
You can barely see his ears in that.
And right away you see co-starring. Nowadays it'd be like directed by.
Or produced by.
Yeah. And there was the 1989 Batman. And of course, what made us think of doing this was that we're going to be having the new take on Batman coming out here in March. And then apparently he'll also show up in August.
Yeah.
From the way it's looking, and so it'll be project consultant Bob Kane. Just noticed that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because what made this kind of cross my mind was just that this movie. There's a lot of people that still hold this as their Batman or their favorite Batman or the best Batman, however you want to word it, and yet Michael Keaton was just crucified when they said he was going to be Batman. Like, what a terrible choice, terrible, no. And there was petition before the internet, they had to write in letters, and all these things to say terrible, and there's people just totally upset, which is, of course, what we're kind of seeing with this whole Batfleck thing. And then it ended up working out, and this ended up being the biggest movie of 1989. Got a sequel, and, Michael Keaton became famous for Batman, and so it'd be interesting to see what Ben Affleck does with it and how that all works out. But I don't know, after watching this again, it had been a while since I saw it, and it's a little dated, but it's still an entertaining movie. It's not unwatchable. It's just got some dated moments to it.
I'm going to just come right out and say it. To me, this is my Batman, and it probably always will be.
There it is. See, he said it.
Christian Bale's Batman was cool and everything, but oh man, there was just some things that bothered me. The The voice growl, especially, just kind of took you out of the moment.
Yeah. And I guess, well, this is a bad song.
Yeah.
And I guess what's hard with me is that I saw this Batman when I was a kid, but I never really thought Batman was as cool as the Batmobile. Like, this movie never really, like, imprinted on me like Jurassic Park did, or things like, or The Rocketeer or something. But I really enjoyed the Christian Bale ones, but the Batman that really stuck out to me the most, that I just attached myself to and was like, that is the animated series. I just always loved that Batman show. I loved the story. I loved how he had to work through the mysteries, how he was put in dangerous situations, the flow of villains they had come through that show in different points, and I don't know, I just thought that makes me think that maybe the animated Batman is my Batman. But I guess the thing is that show wouldn't have existed if it weren't for this movie.
If we're gonna get technical like that, I think the Batman from the Arkham games then is mine. But
well, I'm just saying, like, if when I go back and the one I really still enjoy the most, it's the animated series one.
Yeah.
That's the one I enjoy the most. But we're getting the distributed by Warner Brothers. The movie's pretty much over here, and so
holy cow, those credits were quick.
Yeah, it's quick credits
For a big movie, those were pretty short.
But not a lot of digital artists on this movie.
Mm.
And Japanese people rendered it. So. But yeah, well, with that, I think we'll close up this commentary. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And we'll catch you soon here with some more reviews, video reviews, some movie reviews of some movies coming out here shortly.
Some reviews of some reviews.
We'll be reviewing our reviews, and no, we won't be doing that. Maybe. But hopefully you enjoyed just watching Batman, talking about it, and maybe learning a few things you didn't know, and just having some fun with the movies. So yeah, this is Steven.
And this is Dakota.
We'll catch you next time.